2, 1.
You didn't yell it?
I don't want to yell it.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Film Studies Club podcast. I'm your host, Robert Burke. I'm joined by my co-host,
Follow Chabra.
and there's the fact checker, Nick Guy. But more importantly, we have such a special guest today. Arguably the most special guest we've ever had. Like, this is a very, very special guest.
Yes.
And his name is Matt Farley.
Woo!
Thank you. This is a huge honor. Thank you.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you for calling it an honor. So Matt, I want to know right now, how many songs have you made today?
40.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Is this like a slow day for you, or is this a good day?
Oh, that was definitely a good day. I try to do 50 a week.
That's awesome.
And I only have 3 days a week when I can devote entirely to music. So I just tried to really churn it out today.
Gotcha. What's can you give us a hint about what the new album is about?
It's about name poop songs. Have you heard any of those where I sing a person's name followed by the word poop over and over again?
Yes, actually, I played the Robert Poop one last time I had friends over, and we all laughed to it. It was very nice.
It's big on TikTok. It's great.
Oh yeah. So Nick's girlfriend, actually, we were talking about you, and then she was like, "Oh, is that the poop song guy?" Because apparently you've gotten like pretty big on TikTok recently for the poop songs.
Yeah. It's and so I've done 2,000 names, but people keep sending me their names, like more and more unusual names. I've got about 1,000 on my list. So
Oh, wow.
it's gonna keep me busy for the rest of the year.
Do you have a Pahul poop song yet?
No, but I don't think so. How do you spell it?
P-A-H-U-L.
Okay.
You don't have to if you really don't want to. Like, it's...
No, definitely, but it could be several months before I get to it. But I will definitely get to it. Yeah.
Well, I feel like Pahul is a really good name for a poop song too, because you could do like Pahoop, you know, or something silly like that.
It's brilliant. Now you're thinking like a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Matt, you've done over 22,000 songs, correct?
That's right.
Wow. And can I ask, what got you into screenwriting or songwriting? Sorry, what was like the first song that you ever made, and like why did you make it?
I was just a huge fan of movies and music since I was a kid, and then it just it seemed natural to want to start writing my own stuff. I recall, like in 4th grade, I wrote a song called Frank's Place, and it was about a restaurant that serves eyeballs.
And that was your first one?
We don't sell burgers and fries. Our only specialty is selling people's eyes.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's pretty good. And what was like the first song that you like recorded and put on Spotify?
It was with my band Moe's Haven. Me and my friend Tom Scalzo met in college, and we just started writing together, and we loved it so much that we just we didn't stop for like 10 years. But the first album we released was called Out With The Old, and it didn't do very well. But over the course of a few years, I realized the only songs that are earning any money are the weird ones, and so then I really put the pedal to the metal and started churning out crazy songs.
Yeah.
Do you find your own, like, silly music, like, at all funny anymore? Like, yourself?
Yeah. I it makes me laugh. And sometimes it's the cumulative effect, like when you've listened to like 6, 7 in a row, then you just start, you kind of lose your mind and get a little...
That's hilarious.
Is it recording all these poop songs, do you feel like it like takes the soul out of you, or does it give you soul to make so many of them?
Yeah, no, it's definitely taking soul. I have less soul right now than I had this morning when I started recording.
Oh
but
my goodness.
I just look at it as like my day job, like writing songs about poop. That's my job, and that's a lot better than going to a real job. And then my hobby is writing these heartfelt masterpieces that nobody listens to. But one of you got the record though, right?
Wait, hold on. Yeah, actually, let me get it. Let me get it. Hold on.
He's gonna go grab it. I did want to ask, super quick, if you don't mind me asking, before you worked purely on music all the time, what other jobs did you work?
After college, for 17 years, I worked at a group home for teens. It was this house with 20 kids who had to be taken out of their homes for any number of reasons, and so I worked there 17 years before I was finally able to quit and work my day job. And it was a great job to have. It was just a lot of fun. They had a basketball court there. I would play basketball a lot. I would play my songs for the kids, and they would make fun of me. It was great.
Did they all really enjoy like your songs being on Spotify and playing them?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, they would begrudgingly give me a little bit of respect, and other times they'd be like, "You write poop songs."
Yeah, we used to work for Camp Hope, so Anyway, sorry.
When I was on the Tonight Show, though, they respected me. I worked like 2 days later, and I was like a hero,
Yeah.
Wait, you were on the Tonight Show?
Yeah.
What?
August 30th of 2016, I performed on the Tonight Show. It was great.
That's amazing.
That's incredible. How did you book that gig?
They just called me one day and said, "Hey, we'd like you to perform your song about Pizza Hut." And no joke, I couldn't remember that I had written a song about Pizza Hut. I had to look up my own song.
So it wasn't your ex-manager that got you that gig?
No, it was kind of a refreshing situation that you can't like. I have a cynical view of show business that like the only people who get on these shows are the ones who like work for big big movie companies and record companies, blah blah blah. But this was just Jimmy Fallon found my song on Spotify. He thought it was funny, and he said to his producers, "Let's have this guy come perform the song." And then they called me, and a week later it happened.
Oh my
God! It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's incredible. Is there any other is that like your biggest claim to fame with like your music and everything, or anything else notable?
Yeah, that was the biggest. I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, there's been a good number of articles about me. That record. That's a great investment.
That's a big claim to fame. Yeah, your ex-manager bullied me for it. I'm sure you know.
Oh,
Wait,
Brendan.
what?
Brendan Walsh. He's not really my ex-manager. We just pretend on Twitter. But,
I know. I'm just playing along.
Yeah, he likes to cause trouble.
Yeah. Do you think you'll need a new graphic designer?
Why? Do you work in graphic design?
I mean, I've done professional graphic design work.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I put that together. But yeah, Brendan actually designed my most recent Name Poop album cover too.
Yeah, is it just like adding like random words just onto like a picture?
It's a very simple process. and that's not like if you look through that discography, the album titles are like Name Poop Songs, Name Poop Songs, Name Poop Songs, Name Poop Songs. It's completely insane. I love it.
That's wonderful. And I also know that you are involved in the film world as well. What kind of got you making movies, and like what was your first movie and everything?
Yeah, it was in high school. My family had a camcorder, a VHS camcorder, and it was just so much fun to make movies with my friends. You usually outgrow that, but like through college I was doing it, and then after college I have a friend named Charlie, and he loved doing it too, and we were like, let's just keep making movies. So every couple years we make it happen. And what, you guys watched River Beast, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So as you can see, I mean, it's a big, a big cast, and it's so much work. Like like we have that wedding scene where everyone dances, and it's like
Mhm.
we had to recruit all these people to come to my parents' backyard and to stay long enough to get all the shots. It was hot out. People kept going inside to cool off, and we'd be like, "Get back out here! We need you for these shots." But it unless you've made a feature-length movie, like you can't comprehend just like how awful it is. Like it's wonderful and awful. Don't get me wrong, but like going out into the woods and like getting dirt all over the equipment and trying to putting on this monster suit. For the monster suit, like I would wear it a lot, but then we'd have to have a shot where I'm fighting a monster. So then Tom would put it on, and like I had been sweating inside the suit for the previous hour, so he's got to put this like clammy, wet, disgusting suit on, and it was awful, but it's also just like so much fun. Like we just exhaust ourselves, but it's cool. We made that in 2012, and you guys watched it today. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So actually, the reason that I actually find kind of what you said relatable and inspirational is because I am making my first feature right now, and these two are actually working on it. And yeah, no, seeing this movie was like, wow. Like, I'm genuinely impressed by how many different locations and actors and just like quick shots that would take a lot of time you fit in there.
Thank you for noticing. And yeah, absolutely, it is. Well, that's a thing for like what young people making movies. Oftentimes, it'll just be too many indoor scenes, too many scenes just like in someone's room or something. And I think it's more effort to go outside and to go to all kinds of places, but it's worth it because it just gives people's eyes something else to look at. Some general advice I have is like, public parks and the woods are good places to film versus like don't write a script that takes place in a hospital, if you don't have access to a hospital. So like before you even write a scene, think to yourself like, will I be able to film this? Because then you just end up heartbroken. You write a whole script and then you're like, I can't film any of this, and then you're sad. So before we write any scene, it's like, all right, can we actually make this happen? And then with actors, it's like try not to give any one actor too much responsibility, because people working for free, they're happy to help for a while, but then they stop returning your phone calls, So like if you can film all of someone's scenes in one day, that's perfect, because then you send them on their way. And if they get a haircut, it doesn't matter. If they change the color of their hair or something, you don't have to worry about continuity. But how's it going for you guys?
It's pretty good so far. With the locations things, a lot of scenes are shot in public areas. It's like a lot of the scenes in the movies are only 30 seconds to 2 minutes long, so there is a lot of hopping around to different locations. What we shot so far is mostly a lot of neighborhood scenes, which generally went pretty well, except I did get pulled over by the cops because of one of them, which was not the best experience. It was an in-construction house, and I thought it would be fine to shoot in front of until we were leaving, and there was a car following really closely, and then they flashed the lights, and they thought that we were breaking into it, and kind of had to explain that we were making a movie. It was a little bit awkward because what saved me was a bunch of camera equipment bags in the back, because they could see, clearly they wouldn't have a bunch of lights and sound equipment just sitting around if they were breaking into a house. But yeah, it was...
Yeah, show them some clips too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was awkward.
I'll show you. Yeah, well, I mean, that's something I think about a lot too. It's like, we don't want to get shut down by authorities midway through filming a scene, because then we'll have to start the scene from scratch in a different location. So I'm always thinking, like, where's like a low profile place that we can film and we know no one's going to bother us. But it's just so much work. Now, how long do you imagine it's going to be, the movie?
The script was 122 pages, so probably about 2 hours. The script is a bit dialogue heavy, so I could see it scaling back a bit, but then you also have to account for credit times. So I'm guessing about 2 hours or so.
Woo. That's ambitious. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Sometimes though, like I'll find like, we'll be filming a scene and then I'll be like, oh my god, why did we write so much dialogue? Oh, this is all. But what we do, you could probably tell, like we'll just a close up over the shoulder of a person, and then we'll give them the line and tell them pause for a second and just say it back to us, because none of the actors ever look at the script ahead of time. And then like some of them can't remember more than like 4 words in a row, so like
that reminds me of the first scene of the movie. When the old guy was just like clearly reading off of a script.
Oh yeah, for sure. Eyes moving, but so our it's like part of the fun is seeing people do a bad job of acting, for and but the trick is for us, like we don't tell people to do a bad job. We tell them do the best you possibly can, and it's gonna end up being bad, but in a very unique and wonderful way that I can't get enough of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, there's like an art form to it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, when people are purposely trying to be dumb and bad, it has a bad vibe for me, versus when people are genuinely doing their best, in a good-natured way. But like sometimes, like if the line was like, "How are you this morning?" we would literally have to say, "Okay, just say how are you," and they'd be like, "How are you?" And then we'd say, "Okay, now say this morning," and they'd say, "This morning." And then we'd see them saying how are you, then cut to the person who's listening to them, and then back to the rest of the sentence, but it's hilarious, because we have these grandiose dreams of making a movie, and then just like the dreams are just shattered one after the next. You end up crawling towards the finish line, and it's a miracle to finish a movie. It really is. I mean, especially low budget movie that you're just making on your spare time.
Mm-hmm. I have been super fortunate to grow up where I did, because in Reading there is a big theater scene, and especially at my high school, it's there's a big choir program. So most of the actors that I have in the movie, I'm paying very low amounts, but still paying and saying, if you show up to set, I'll pay you less as incentive. And thankfully, a lot of them are actually, like, they have a lot of experience acting because of being in theater. So I've been, like, super fortunate to have that experience on set, especially because the lead actress is quite literally in every single scene. So she's having to show up to set every single time. And
wow.
Yeah, thankfully
Nice.
She's very resilient and able to endure a lot.
One thing I've found with theater actors is they're used to like projecting, because they're up on stage. Have you had to ask them to tone it down a little bit sometimes?
Yeah, there have been a few actors that definitely have been playing their lines really big. And thankfully, when I was casting it, I was imagining it's like a mix of non-actors and theater actors. The bigger characters I gave to the theater actors, and the smaller characters I gave to the non-actors for the most part. But thankfully, the lead actress, despite having a background in theater, was quickly able to acclimate to film acting. Just some of her gestures can sometimes come off as big, like if she's waking up in the morning, facial, wiping off the face can be like pretty big. But besides that, it's been super, like, I'm very, very happy that I've had really good actors on set, because it's made my job a lot easier despite still being extremely stressful.
Do you have a deadline to finish this?
So I am going off to Emerson College on August 20th. So basically then. I need to have it done by then. And I do want to submit it to Sundance more as a experience thing rather than an expectation to get in thing, because it's obviously very highly selective.
Yeah. No, so did we talk on the phone? We talked on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know Truman. That's how I know you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's all coming together now.
Yeah. It was after the phone call because we were listening to your music and I looked up. We were trying to figure out what your name was because with all the aliases, it was a little bit difficult. So we just kept on looking like Poop Song Guy and just like different stuff like that. And eventually we came across Matt Farley. So we looked at Matt Farley and I found the Modern Media page, and I was like, wait, why does the name Matt Farley and Modern Media sound so familiar? So then we saw your number listed there, and we're like, may as well just call it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? And then you picked up, which we were totally not at all expecting.
Yeah,
and then
great phone
as
call.
yeah, and as you were calling, I think I started like looking you up more on my phone, and I was like, oh, that's right. Truman had this huge phase where he was watching a bunch of movies that I did not know about, and I had no clue what they were. And that's what those movies are, and it's connected to this music. It was like a big connection moment in my brain. Blew me away.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Robert was curious on how you got the River Beast on Amazon Prime. Was that like a whole process?
Yeah. So there's for that one we used a service called Film Hub, which you could look up, and they've been good because they get it available worldwide. So it's on Amazon everywhere, and they've even gotten it on a few other services. So that's cool. I think it's a relatively new service, but we're pretty happy with it. In addition to that, anyone can put their movies on Amazon Prime, almost in like a YouTube fashion. The only difference is that they have slightly higher standards, maybe, and you need to have closed captioning on the movie too. And I don't know how to do that, but we found a service that it was like $80. We paid, we send the file of the movie to them, and then they make the closed captioning file, and then.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so most of our movies we put on Amazon ourselves, but River Beast we did use Film Hub.
So what did you do specifically on River Beast? Like, what were your roles in the film?
Co-writer, producer, and lead actor, and the music. I did all the music for it too. So it's me and my friend Charlie Roxburgh. We basically he's the director. I'm the producer. He's usually behind the camera, and I'm usually in front of the camera. We went to college together, and basically, just every couple of years we're basically always working on a project. If we're not filming something, we're writing it, and we're hoping to release 2 movies this year.
Oh wow, that's cool. Are they both features?
Yes. Yeah. One we started working on 2 years ago, and then with all the travel restrictions, we couldn't finish it for the last year. But finally, we're going to be finishing it next month, hopefully.
Do you need any editors?
Now I'll let you know. But no, we're going to trade off every other movie. Me and Charlie. He's editing one. I'm editing another. Just because if one of us edited everything, then that person would never leave his house,
I'm just saying, I could help with, like, the laborious stuff. I'm a really good editor.
Thank you. But isn't it, I don't know about you, but sometimes editing, last week I edited from 5:30 in the morning till 8:30 at night, and it felt like I just blinked my eye, like it went by so fast.
Yeah. I've edited for 3 days straight once, with like sleeping in between, obviously, but it was bad.
Yeah, and it just man, wait, when was the last time I ate?
Right? Yeah. I enjoyed it though. It's fun.
And just raising audio just a little bit higher, no, a little lower, a little higher, a little lower. It's tedious, but it's invigorating too.
Yeah, I've been studying a lot of color theory and color correction and grading and that kind of thing. But yeah, editing is a lot of fun for me at least.
Yeah. Our next 2 movies are black and white, so we don't have to worry about the
Oh.
color. Yeah.
Ooh, fun.
That's fun. Yeah. I gotta say, like, I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, like the first movie that I made, shooting it was really stressful. And I was like, man, shooting it's so stressful because I have to coordinate a lot of people, and I have to put a lot of people in a room, and I have to get them together at the same time, and just like so many different things. And I was like, I feel like editing will be so much easier because I just have to sit in a room with my friend, and we just have to like cut clips together, and it'll be easy. And it just ended up also being like really exhausting as well. Like editing goes by quickly, but I also find like when I'm done after a long day of it, I'm just like super exhausted.
Well, except for the
Yeah,
first movie.
yeah, like your whole brain is just like soup, you know, like you can't even
Yeah.
think straight. Just it's like, and then the whole time you're just like, man, why didn't we get this shot? Oh, if only I had this shot. And how about when
Yeah.
you're filming and people start like telling stories and having fun with each other? You're like, hey, knock it off, quiet down. I want you to just sit there silently until I tell you to act, because the day can get away from people quickly if they're just sitting around goofing off and telling stories. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Robert's first short film, it was like 30 something minutes long, right?
It was. That one was that wasn't my first because the first was Punish, but
Okay,
the
right.
second was 39 minutes.
Yeah, we edited a 39-minute short film in one day.
Whew, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
It was terrible editing.
Yeah,
Like, looking back on it, it's
wasn't impressive
really
work, but,
bad.
like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was just like one of those like we gotta cram things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think having deadlines is important, and just getting into the habit of finishing your project is very important, because I know a lot of people who start movie projects and then 6 years go by, and they still haven't finished it. Like like we just have to finish it. And the finished product is always going to be disappointing for us, because like we knew what it could have been and versus what it is, but the average viewer doesn't know what it could have been, and so it's not quite as bad for them.
Mm-hmm. I am actually interested in, so with days shooting, I found myself getting like really like stressed out the day before, and like super just dreading the thought of even going to set, and then ending up on set and finding that it's not as bad as I was anticipating. Do you find that same kind of anxiety, and like if so, how do you like help like curb it?
No, I mean, I usually don't sleep the night before filming. So, and I've been doing, why do I care? I don't even know, but I'm just laying in bed, just like imagining problems and how I would solve them, and I'm saying to myself, the problem hasn't even happened yet. Knock it off, go to sleep, And I set like 5 alarms because we always start super early in the morning, but I mean, I just run myself ragged, my only advice is force yourself to drink a lot of water, because I feel like I just get dehydrated every time that I'm filming. But the bad news is what you're feeling, at least for me, has continued. If anything, it's gotten worse as I've gotten older.
That's good to know. Yeah, I think like honestly, when I end up behind the camera, it's usually fine. It's just the idea of scheduling and getting people in an area together that just can.
Yeah, and will they show up? Like, are they going to show up? Oh God, I hope they show up. I mean, we've had so many people bail on us the morning of filming, and it's devastating. Like for a while there, the guy I work with, Charlie, he lives 3 hours away from me. So like one of us has driven 3 hours to make, to film for that day or for that weekend. And it's like, it crushes us if things don't go according to plan. But, we roll with it. And part of the, like, knowing that there are going to be problems is something we almost kind of factor into it, and just be like, all right, whatever the finished product is, we're just gonna, we might be surprised that something didn't go right, but in a weird way, it's better than what would have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting process. I'm definitely learning a lot, and I'm happy to learn to get the experience of a first feature before going off to film school as well, because I feel like I'm learning a lot here that will help with my studies on the East Coast.
Amen. Well, I think you'll learn more. You know, like, I mean, making a feature film that's like going to grad school. You know, like you're doing more work than the average grad school student. And you know, the people. I mean, it's good to go to college, but you know, the people teaching you, they don't. You know, they've probably made less movies than you have by the end of the summer for you. So, yeah, it's great. It's doing things is always more informative than studying things.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
How old were you when you did the River Beast?
River Beast, I was 32, 30, 31, 31, 32. Too old to be making a monster movie in my, my parents' backyard and in the woods.
I don't know about that. I mean...
No. Well, like, the movies have never made me any money, and so I definitely feel from friends and family that they kind of roll their eyes like, oh man, he's making another movie, like what a deadbeat, quit with your silly dreams.
Well, to be fair, I did pay you $2 when I rented that movie.
Nice. Yeah. Well, luckily the music makes me money, so I can afford to do the movies. And one of these days the movies will take off. My theory is just keep making them, and then when one of them takes off, then all the others will take off too. And
that is very
I'll
true.
be glad
very
that
true.
Yeah. I made a couple on film too, on Super 16 millimeter film.
Wow. I feel like that's like, it just takes the normal process and makes it 2 times harder, because you have to account for, we can't get infinite shots. We have this much film, and we have to get this. Like, I could not imagine I would lose my mind.
Well, it's a good thing though, because it trained us. It trained us to just accept a first or second take, and especially for the kind of movies that I make, it's like half the fun is the amateur acting, and so we don't worry too much about it. And but I mean, yeah, the shooting on film was it was $30 per minute. Per minute of film is the cost that we were dealing with, and so when someone messed up a line, it was just like a cash register was just spinning in my head. But it's beautiful. I'm happy we did it.
Yeah. What do you do for equipment, for like audio equipment and video equipment and everything?
For River Beast, it was a Canon DSLR camera for the video, like a 5D Mark II, I think it's called. And then we had a separate little audio, like a Zoom audio thing. We did a lot of you plug in one of those lav clip-on mics into the Zoom and then run it up. You can totally see it bulging out of people's shirts in a lot of shots. And then since then we've graduated to shotgun mics, and I'll show you my new camera. Give me a second.
Oh. Okay.
That's exciting.
That's very exciting.
So this is the one that we're just working.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
What is this? Canon XF400. And this is nice because it's got the XLR inputs right here. So the audio goes directly in there. We don't have to deal with the clapper anymore, which would always just drive me. I don't know if you guys do you guys use a clapper or no?
Yeah, we're using a I forget the type of microphone. It's an Audio Technica shotgun mic, and we're linking that sound up to the camera, and it is just like it's been like nice to have something to where like, and we've had log sheets, and we've also been putting the audio clip on the clapper board, so like finding them isn't too difficult. It just really is like I'm gonna have to spend like probably around 10 hours just putting audio with video and audio with video over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's so tedious, very tedious. And I always find like we get ready to film a scene, or we're just about ready, and then it's like, oh wait, the clapper, and then like, oh, where is the clapper?
Yeah.
It just kills it. It makes it so much harder to concentrate on the acting. So, I'm happy to be going without any clapper for the upcoming projects.
Yeah, just last weekend I was shooting a scene, and I couldn't find. So I bought him because he's the sound guy.
I'm the sound guy and editor and like sound mixer guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I bought him a bag for the Zoom H5, which is the recorder we're using, and he ended up just it was like right here.
The Zoom H5, it's in the car.
No, this thing.
Yeah, I designed and 3D printed a case for the H5 that fits under my belt,
and it just like clips in there.
Nice, smart. Yeah.
It's the coolest thing. So I just had this like extra bag that was basically like a $40 fanny pack that the Zoom 5 didn't really fit well in, but it fit perfectly a marker, like a dry erase marker. So I would put it in there and wear it around my belt, and then I would always have a dry erase marker for the clapperboard. But last weekend I couldn't find it, so I had to use a Sharpie, or I got a Sharpie and I wrote on the clapperboard, and then I'm like, okay, and so I clap it and I say action. And then the actresses start talking, and then you can hear me on the side say, "Oh shit!" I can't get the Sharpie off. So I had to interrupt the scene and take like 3 minutes just gritting off the Sharpie, and then we had to call somebody because it was 11 at night, so everywhere was closed. So we had to call somebody and say, "Hey, can we drive over right now and pick up a dry erase marker so that I can finish this scene?" It was set like, and just to think that it's like a dry erase marker, one small thing like that can just throw the set.
Yeah. That's another thing, like when you're packing up the car, packing up all the equipment into the car to go somewhere, and you're just like, think. What am I forgetting? Yeah. But I mean, what are normal people doing? That's the real question. Like normal people are just like sitting around watching TV, or like I don't even know, or they're sleeping. And meanwhile, we are running all around town, getting shots. Just have as painful and awful as it is, it's also like you're living life. It's like a heightened experience, Like you guys will never forget all these days, all these stories, and so it's like everyone should make a movie. Everyone should just make a movie on their own, just to understand what it takes, and it's kind of like going to summer camp too. I feel I don't think I ever went to summer camp, but you know what I mean, where you're just like having these great unique memories with people.
Yeah, I can say summer camp. I've been to a couple. They're definitely way more boring, but I do get like I definitely have had that same thought on set. Like this is so stressful, but like I'm finally making a movie. Like that's like just so cool in and of itself.
This is really happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were like the vibes on set during filming? I'm kind of curious.
The vibes are good, especially by then we were pretty settled with who the people that we worked with. Like everyone in it had been in other movies that we'd made. They knew what to expect. We knew what to expect. We knew they would show up at that point, So in the movies prior to that, we worked with some people who clearly weren't into it, or would make up some excuse to get out of acting. It's so we had a good crew of people, and the way we did it, like in August, because at that point Charlie, the director, lived in L.A., so like he had to fly to New England. And he'd come, so he came for a weekend in August where we did a couple days worth of filming, and and then we did a week in September and a week in October, and it's the same thing. It's that feeling like, hey, we're doing something. This is actually happening. I mean, we each, that was our vacation time from our real jobs. Like it wasn't going to Cancun. It was going to my house to make a movie, to work harder. Our vacation, we worked way harder than we did at our day jobs, But yeah, it was tons of fun. Just exhaustion, searching. We have, I mean, like you said, searching for the dry erase marker. Where's the marker? Where's the Oh, it's in my back pocket. All that stuff. But yeah, people were cool, and we had fun. Yeah, we had fun. It was the best. I mean, like I said, we don't make money off these movies, but we keep doing it because it is it's a better way to live than not doing it.
Yeah. So you said the actors, they had been on like multiple films of yours?
Yeah.
Do you think, like, I'm kind of curious as to what you think their expectations were the first time they were filming with you. Like, do you think they were expecting, like, I don't know, this like grand amazing film, or there's like, yeah, this is just a hobbyist film?
Yeah, I think they knew what they were getting into, more or less.
Yeah.
They it's people that I've known anyway, so they kind of know my sense of humor, and I think yeah, they definitely weren't thinking this is my big Hollywood moment. It was more just this is a fun thing. But it is cool. We get people on IMDb. Some people think that's pretty cool. I mean, the fact that it's on Amazon Prime is like major bragging rights for some people. People have told me that they mention it at work, and their coworkers are like, "What? You're in a movie on Amazon Prime? That's crazy." Some guys wrote a book about our movies. So.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the making of, right?
It's called Moturn on Moturn.
Never mind.
It's a nice long book. I read it every day. It's so good.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is it's like it's a long process, versus going through the studio system. Not that any studio would ever give me money to make a movie, but our general approach is, if we make them independently, we can make exactly what we want to make. We don't have to answer to anybody but ourselves. Our only limitations are the ones we put on ourselves. We're not going to make money off it in the short term, but who knows, if we just keep on cranking these things out, maybe people will start to notice. And 20 years down the road, people are just barely starting to notice, and that's okay. Life is long, so we're going to keep doing it.
Well, and a lot of times it's exponential. I feel like once a few people discover, it can go up a lot. Because I mean, with like your music and everything, I heard about it from my friends, and then with Truman discovering your movies, just like two completely unrelated events, and then they connect with each other in my brain, and then suddenly I find myself talking about your media to a lot of other people, and a lot of other people are discovering it. It's like an exponential thing. So even a little discovery right now could mean a lot in the future.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now with TikTok and everything, that's it's kind of soaring.
Yeah. I mean, music is my day job, and I'm not I don't live in a mansion, but I'm pretty darn happy that I can, I'm my own boss, and I can tell myself, you're making a movie this weekend, and that's technically my job, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, was the TikTok thing surprising for you, or like
the TikTok thing you say?
Yeah, like were you like it was the fact that you were just like rising from TikTok? Was that like, what is TikTok like? Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was super pumped. It had a couple. It had a couple of like peaks. Like over the summer, it was big. Even so, I guess it was like May, June 2020. Tons of videos were happening. I was getting tons of names to add to my list, and it was exciting and cool. But then, even more so this winter, like it was way more videos were happening, and way more people were contacting me, and it wasn't like people found it on TikTok, but then they listened to it on Amazon or YouTube or Spotify, and so it was great. I loved it. I'd wake up for a couple of weeks. I'd wake up every morning and have like a dozen texts from people being like, "Can you do the? Let me look at the Twix poop song. Can you do the Debbie poop song? DEI Eldon, Gil, Venti, Monia, Lucretia, Jiggy.
Yeah.
And of course,
That's
at the
amazing.
very bottom of the list, Pahul.
Are you excited for your
I'm
Poho
very
Poop
excited.
song?
I'm extremely excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's ever written a song about me. Yeah.
So Matt, we were doing a little bit of research on you, and we found out that you're like married and you have kids. Like, how do you like balance that life with the movies and the music and everything?
Yeah. First off, it's shocking. They're like, that guy's married? I don't get it. So yeah, I mean, my wife works 4 days a week at her job, and on those 4 days, I'm with the kids. They're ages 4 and 7. We're homeschoolers, and so we're doing homeschool, and otherwise we're just having a grand old time. I mentioned, I worked at the group home for teens, and that was good practice for having kids of my own and just knowing fun things to do with them. But so yeah, and when I am working, it's here at the house, and so I can rattle off a bunch of poop songs and then come out of this room and hang out with everybody for a little bit, apologize to them for having to hear me sing, and then go back to do it. But I think I'm doing a pretty good job with the balance, but that's one thing. Have you seen the movie American Movie?
I have not.
I have not either.
Okay, it's about some guys in Wisconsin following their dream to make a movie, and at times it seems like the main guy is definitely ignoring his fatherly duties in order to make his movie, and it seems a little delusional at that point. Like, it's like, come on, like, your stupid movie is not more important than like real obligations. And so I definitely don't, as delusional as I am, I am able to check myself and to make sure that it's not hurting real life. Yeah, that's the answer to the question.
That's really honorable and kind of funny that you'd have to check yourself to be like, are my poop songs getting in the way of my family?
I mean, if they weren't making money, then it would be much, much worse, and I would have to just stop, but
Unfortunately.
luckily it worked out. I mean, 17 years I was working a day job, and that's a 40-hour-a-week thing I was working, and during that time, while having a full-time job, I recorded 18,000 songs. So I mean, that was that's crazy. Imagine if I had like a full week if I had all 7 days of a week to work on music, I'd have like 50,000 at this point.
Do you ever find yourself getting like creative burnout with music ever? Are you ever like, I just can't do another 50 songs this week, I'm just like so burnt out?
Not too bad. No, I mean, maybe here and there, but
Ow.
very. I just because it's just work. I call it factory songs sometimes. Like, it's like literally going into the factory and just churning them out, and you just have to do it. So when it comes to like more well crafted, like the songs on the record, I didn't just churn that whole record out in a day. I spent about a month on it, and there's like 14 tracks on it or something like that. So, and by most standards, that's even fast. You hear about a band spending like 2 years on an album, but I won't take more than a month to do something like that. But to answer your question, it's like if I'm burned out from writing that album, then spend the next month just doing factory songs, which aren't really exhausting my creativity. It's just going through the motions.
So you don't view your factory songs as like creatively like tiring, I guess. Right.
Yeah, but one thing that happens is I'll just I'll be pounding on the piano, coming up with chords for the next song, and then I'll be like, "Ooh, I like these chords," and then I'll jot down what they are and I'll save them for. I call them the no jokes albums. You know, like the record that you have is one of my no jokes albums, and I have several others. But I'll save the real good stuff like that for those albums. And the process of writing all these silly poop songs is helpful, you know. And just, you know, it's like running a marathon. You know, what is it? Running a marathon. You don't. You got to build up. You know, you don't just run a marathon on day one. You run a couple miles and then work your way up over the course of time. And now I'm at the point where I can do 40 name poop songs on a Sunday, you know?
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying that even if you don't like the chords, you'll just release it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But this is a good lesson. You never know. Like, I have several songs that I don't even like that other people think is good, you know? So I'm not a good judge of my work. It might not speak to me, but usually my favorite songs are not the most popular songs.
Yeah. Like, I hear you talking about, like, yeah, people listen to my garbage, but, you know, I have some good music too, right?
Yeah, but even in the garbage, you know, like the Toilet Bowl Cleaners, like, I think Poop Into a Wormhole is a masterpiece, but people prefer Poop in My Fingernails, you know?
Yeah.
Are you ever, like, disappointed by, like, not having your, like, songs that have legitimate work into them? You're kind of disappointed by, like, you know, the stuff that isn't necessarily, you think, worth everyone's time. There's, like, a very obvious, I don't know, more popularity towards the ones that you don't want popularity.
Yeah. I mean, I go on walks and I listen to my own music on the walks, and I listen to the quality, brilliant songwriting, and by the time I get home, I just start ranting to my poor wife. I'm like, these songs so good, and nobody pays any attention to them. And meanwhile, the Susie Poop song just has 20 seconds to write it. No one pays attention to me. I'm the best songwriter since Bob Dylan, and nobody recognizes it, and they just want me to write more poop songs.
Well, Matt, you know, this is a great album, and I'll love it when I listen to it, because I actually don't have a my record player. Robert does, so I will listen to it when I go to his house next time. I'm sure it'll be great.
Oh, you get ready. It's much better than Poop in My Fingernails.
I'm sure it is. I'm also curious. Have you ever, like, found your kids snooping around, like, your work?
You know, I mean, they know it's what's going on. Their ages are 4 and 7, but I mean, their whole lives, just the sound of their dad's voice has been coming through the walls, and so they're really good at drowning it out. And yeah, I mean, they're both creative. One of them likes to write books, and the other one likes to paint and comes up with. One of the 4-year-olds come up with a few phrases that I ended up writing songs about. So it's cool. But I think it's just the usual noise in the house is what, you know, the sound of me singing Susie Poop, Susie Poop.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever, like, involve your kids in your songwriting at all? Like, maybe some vocals from them?
Yeah, maybe, but not for a long while. And I don't I don't think it's I don't like entertainment people who exploit their kids. I feel like it's not good for the kids, and it's just like a cheap way. And here I am to say it's a cheap way to increase your profile, coming from the guy who sings the Susie Poop song. I'm obviously not above cheap promotional tactics, but I draw the line there.
I see.
All right, well, Matt, it has been fantastic to have you on the podcast. Usually, our podcasts, we have our friends on them, and we will be like, yeah, let's talk about these movies. and then we'll spend 30 minutes not talking about them, and then we'll say we'll talk about them, and then as we're talking about them, we end up just saying really rudimentary things like, it was good, it was bad, and then give it really stupid grading systems, and then we'll talk about, like, albums, and yeah, it just usually goes off the rails. So this is the first episode I think we've ever had that was on track 100% of the time.
All right, well, let me bring it even more on track real quick before I let you go. Fred the movie is a gosh darn brilliant work of art, okay? And I know a lot of people just think, oh, it's this kid talking in a high-pitched voice and it's annoying and whatever, but I don't know, if you watch this movie, it's subversive and brilliant and just perfect in every way. Fred's mom is a hilarious character. Fred's dream dad, John Cena, is it's devastating in one way that poor Fred, has to dream up this wrestling dad, but also hilarious too. And it's very dark. Like, it's dark for this made for Nickelodeon movie. Jeanette McCurdy, amazing performance. The kid across the street, I think his name is Kevin. The looks that this kid, the looks that he gives back at Fred, and like when he's jealous of he's like, Fred's having a party, like it is, guys. I'm just telling you, it is a brilliant work of art. The only people who watched it were like people who were like 10 in whenever it came out, like 2012, and I happened to watch because I worked at the group home for kids. And most of the kids were like, oh, Fred's stupid. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, no, God, kids, this is a brilliant work of art, kids.
Hold on, Matt. I want to argue with this about you.
That's fine. It is. When's the last time you saw it?
Oh my goodness. It's been a while.
Summer. No, we watched it in summer 2020. I remember because after I sat down with my friends and we were jokingly saying that we were going to come up with like a deep theory about it, and then I got onto this theory that I'm actually like almost convinced is like the truth. Do you want to hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how in the title of the poster of the movie there's Fred, right? And the R letter is reversed? That was like messing with me, and I was trying to like think about it, like maybe there's something going on there. I think that this movie, I don't think that this movie takes place within someone's subconscious, and I think it's actually Durf. Because you remember how there's the reverse Fred character that comes on the bus, it's their Durf. I think that Durf is the actual Fred, and he's like in his 30s, and he's like completely chilled out with life, but there's this innate kid version of himself that's running around in his brain causing travesty, and I think that the movie actually is about a very mentally ill person with two conflicting personalities.
This sucks.
And I think that Durf is who the actual Fred is.
I buy that. That's absolutely and just like I said, though, there is this weird darkness, Mm-hmm. If it's all in the head of Durf, or if it's just dark for dark's sake, like it feels like the people making it were just like, let's just see how much we can slip into this movie, this made for Nickelodeon movie with this annoying YouTube character. Let's just see how much subversive weirdness we can sneak into this thing. And it is, and just the fact that he just wants to sing, with this girl, it's just so weird and wonderful. Oh, and poor Fred when he throws up at the party.
Poor Fred.
But, I'm telling you, watch it 10 or 12 more times, and each time you watch it, you're gonna be like, oh man, wait. Like I feel like I'm in good hands. When I'm sitting there watching it, like the people making this movie absolutely knew what they were doing, is the feeling that I got.
Speaking of them trying to put things into this movie, I remember trying to buy it from Best Buy when I was like 11 or 12 or something. And they said, oh, sir, this movie is actually R-rated. I don't know if we can give this to you. And I was like, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I don't know. Anyways.
You tried to buy the Fred movie and they said it was rated R?
Yes. But Matt, have you seen the other Fred movies by chance?
No.
You're a fake fan.
I mean, I'm 42 years old. I can only watch one Fred movie. I can't imagine the sequels are up to that same level. Are they?
They're not. They're
No.
not really. And also, like, I know Fred. I've seen some like clips of things saying, "Yeah, I just did the Fred movie for like money." Like he just like straight up said that. Which I mean, that doesn't really necessarily take away from the magic, because I doubt he had any influence.
He doesn't know. He doesn't even know how brilliant it is. Seriously, like I don't know the history of the situation, but it just feels like some kind of work for hire writer, director people were like, "All right, you're doing Fred the movie," and they just said to themselves, "They're like, let's just see. Like I said, let's see what we can do here. Let's not just go by the books. I mean, Fred's mom is this like party lady who just pays no attention to him at all, and Fred is just so desperate for any kind of affection and understanding, and it's heartbreaking, and it's subversively hilarious. I just love it. It is really funny.
Yeah, I like the controversial race joke in the movie as well.
What is that one? I don't even remember.
He digs
Oh,
a
you don't
hole.
have to Oh, to China? Right? Is that right? He thinks he
Yeah.
dug a hole to China, right? Yeah.
Actually, that plays into my theory. My theory is that the father that he imagines, it's the...
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, with this whole thing, Durf, the actual Fred, was a kid of, like, the 70s and 80s, right? And it's, like, a much older version of him. And essentially, what happened when Fred was really, really young is that his father died while at war, and I'm imagining it's like the Korean War or something like that. So Fred inherently has this racist view of Asian people because his father died in a war with the US versus, and that's also why he's very nationalistic. And that's also, this plays into the whole like Fred versus Durf thing. Durf, when that happened, was so traumatized that he emotionally stayed a little kid for a long time, but him emotionally staying as a little kid started growing up, and at that point in the movie was a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, at Emerson, when it's time, when you're doing you gotta write this paper.
You think so? I honestly think I could write a whole paper about it. I've thought about it a lot.
Oh, that's cool. Good to. I just feel like it's easy to poo-poo that movie as just standard made for Nickelodeon fare. And I am definitely no expert on any other Nickelodeon programming, but I doubt that others are as ambitious as that movie seemed to me to be. So let's hear it for Fred.
Yes. Well, we whenever we review movies, you do like a rating scale, and we all have different rating scales. Like mine is like cell phone networks, so I would give this movie like a Verizon personally. And then, Paul, you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen this movie.
His usual rating system is like 0 or 1.
No,
it's like
countries.
Oh, it's countries now. He'll like say different countries. So on any rating scale you want, what would you give Fred?
Ice cream.
Yeah, totally fits.
Speaking of ice cream, we're actually going to Baskin Robbins after this. Do you guys have Baskin Robbins?
Yeah, it's not prevalent, but there's a few. Dunkin' Donuts / Baskin Robbins. There's a few of those where they share the storefront. But I'm a big fan of ice cream. So yeah, enjoy it. And this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Just Matt, right before we go, you know how podcasts usually have like some sort of like thing that they always do at the end that's like, the podcast ends. We don't have one of those. We usually make it up every time, and every time we have a guest, we put it on the guest to come up with like a perfect way to close the podcast. So this is on you. How would you like to end it?
Oh yeah.